Good morning, my magnificent ones. Sue Paulson here, your magnificence mentor. We're back with another episode of Tea with Sue. You can see I see my teapot handle is here. This is kind of a cute little teapot, so it keeps me filled up. It's a glorious day here. The sun is shining. Spring is coming. I couldn't be happier. So today, what I want to talk about is what is draining your battery. What brought this topic on was there was something wrong with my old car all of a sudden, and the battery was draining, and I had to keep phoning my local motor association, bless their hearts, to come and rescue me and give me a boost and so on. And once they did that, I take it into the mechanic, and it turns out that the electronic module for my locking system is what's draining the battery. And unless I wanted to pay $2,000 to have this module swapped out, which I didn't, it's an old car. I thought, oh, so they came up with a solution for me, and they put a little knob attached to some kind of a gizmo that would turn off the battery so that whether my doors were unlocked or locked, it wouldn't drain the battery anymore because there's no juice getting to the rest of it. And I'm going, oh, okay. Well, it's a bit of a pain to unlatch my hood and get under there and turn this little knob if I'm going to let the car sit for any period of time. But I've got used to it. And so I've figured out how to disconnect. So this is a cool metaphor when you think about how there can be so many things in life that drain our batteries, that just seem to just little by little, or even big bit by big bit, just suck the life right out of us, suck the joy out, the happiness, the sense of ease and calm and peace. And it makes life harder. It makes life tougher. So the first thing, of course, is to identify what is draining your battery, what is just gradually making you feel less and less engaged and having that joie de vivre, which is so important for all of us as we go day by day. At least that's what I want. I want that sense of, wow, life is fun and exciting and interesting. But let's face it, worries will get in the way, will drain our batteries. Fears will drain our batteries. Other people's negativity drains our batteries. The doom and gloom on the news drains our batteries. There's all kinds of things that just kind of at us, and then just little by little we feel weaker and weaker and weaker. No wonder we want to stay in bed all day on a Sunday morning, because we don't have a lot of life left, and we need a recharge. All right, but I don't think calling your local motor association is going to do it in this case. So let's think about that and look at some strategies. And so the first strategy, of course, is awareness, that you start to become aware of what drains you. What is it that really, and it could be a little things chronically happening over time, or it could be a big shock and then you feel really drained, or a big disappointment, or a big sadness, or something like that just drains you down. So once you become aware of it, of course, then you say, okay, I need to do something, because you know that eventually when there's no juice left, then nothing's going to happen, and it won't be good. It won't be pretty. So one of the first things that we look at is to first of all say, how do we turn off the source of the drain? So I know if you're a plumber and one of the water pipes breaks, the very first thing they do is they turn off the water. So they just turn it off, so there's no more source there. So in this case, let's say that you're getting some constant negativity from someone you know, and it doesn't seem to matter how bright you are, they're not. Well, what are you going to do to turn that off? So to turn off that source of negativity, there's a variety of things you can do depending on the situation, but it's to say, okay, I want to disconnect from that somehow. I don't want that coming at me all the time. I stopped watching the news because there was so much doom and gloom on there, and especially before bed. Oh my goodness, one of the most vulnerable times when we're going to sleep. And we watch something that's nasty or bad or really drains us. Not a good thing, because then our minds process it overnight. Well, you wonder why you might have wild, weird dreams or nightmares. Well, maybe it's the news. And it's not that I don't want to be informed. I do. But I want my news in little snippets, just so I can keep abreast of what's going on in the world. I can't do anything about most of it anyway. So, and what I end up doing when I hear that kind of, the tragedies and the traumas and the adversities that people are facing, I do my best to just shower them with light and love, because that's all I can really do, that I send out the wish for something better. And then I carry on with my day, because there's only so much that I personally have control over in that regard. So what can we do to disconnect, to turn off, to remove that force from our life so that it doesn't keep draining us? So there's some basic removal ideas. I remember going through cancer and how hard it was at times to disconnect from what was around me when it got overwhelming. And I had to deliberately do that. So sometimes I disconnected by being in denial. Like, I don't want to think about that part because it's too hard to contemplate. I can't take it all in right now. I can only take in this much. I can only do what's in front of me. And certainly we have very well-meaning people in our lives at that point in time. I had lots of people who offered all kinds of advice and support and ideas and so on. And it was all meant to be helpful. Their intention was really, really good. But there were times when I found I just had to disconnect from that because I couldn't go there for whatever reason. And I knew that there were parts of it I needed to do the way I could do it, not the way they felt was the best for me, but the way I knew was going to be best for me. Or even if I didn't know, that was the way I had to do it. So there was that pulling back, that pulling away, that say, thanks so much for what you've offered. Now I get to decide if any of that is going to work for me at this point in time. So there's always that choice that we have to decide, is that piece of information going to fill me up, or is it just going to make me feel worse? And if it's going to make you feel worse, well, the answer is no. The answer is just flat out no, not right now. Maybe later, not right now. And the same thing with people. Well, can we come visit? Can we? There were times when I said no. I'm just not up to it right now. I don't want that, and I didn't want them to feel bad, and I felt bad because I was saying no. I wasn't brought up to say no. Trust me. So it's hard for me to say no to someone when they have an idea that they think would please me or whatever, when it turns out that maybe the timing's wrong or the situation's wrong or whatever. And so at some point I had to disconnect. I had to say, that doesn't fit for me right now, and let it be. So we face these things in our lives, and sometimes getting away from that huge drain is difficult, and yet we're the only ones that can do it. We're the only ones that have the power to say, nope, not going there. I'm going to turn away from that for whatever reason, whether, and it doesn't matter if you were programmed to never do that or not. There comes a point in our lives when who's in charge here? You know, you're in charge. So it's to grab hold. Now, once we've disconnected and moved ourselves away from the drains in our life, then it's also important to add in the pieces that will revitalize us, the pieces that get the juices pumping to the point where our batteries get charged up and charged up and charged up until they're full, and working on keeping them as full as we can for as long as we can, because inevitably we know life is hard, and there may be down the road another 2x4 experience that's going to want to just drain us again. So what do we do to revitalize, rejuvenate, to get back to a state where our bodies feel at peace and we're not stressed out about things, and life is good? Well, so it's almost the opposite of the battery drain. It's to plug in. So you know how the motor assist guy or gal puts the cables on your battery posts, and from their battery to your battery, then you turn on the engine, and it gives us this big boost of juice, and it shoots more current into your battery to kind of fire it up. Well, sometimes we need that. We need a little charge that will, and maybe it's something that's totally exciting, just all of a sudden. I mean, whoa, and we're startled into this burst of laughter, or we're startled into this wash of happiness that just gives us this recharge. Well, it's like we plug back in and we say, okay, I disconnected what wasn't working, and now I'm going to reconnect. I'm going to plug back into the things that I think would work for me. So that burst, that flare, but you know how they tell you, okay, now in order to maintain the charge, then there's some things you need to do. Keep your motor running, keep your, drive around and let it charge itself, let it recharge. So what do we need to do to keep that charge building and building and building and building and building until we're at the full level? What we need to keep adding something. So what is it? So one of the tools that I have used that has been very helpful for me has been meditation, because I find that when I get still, when I reconnect with my spiritual self, with the power of all that is, and remember that I am an integral part of God and the universe, then I get something from that. Like there's this beam of energy that just begins to fill my soul. Even if I only do it for 5 minutes, then I get that recharge. And then throughout the day, if I remember those meditative moments and the feeling that I got from it, I get another little surge and another little surge. And so there's this more continuous flow of good things happening. The same thing happens when I think better thoughts. So when I shift my attention away from the doom and gloom and I move directly into gratitude, it's amazing to me how quickly I feel all powered up. I feel, oh, wow, I feel better. I feel better. And of course, better is a kind of a mild term for that whole recharge that's just going on. because you start feeling better and better and better and better and better. And pretty soon, oh, I feel great. I feel really great. So that's the kind of thing that we're looking at. Now, those tools have stood the test of time for me for a long, long time. And I now rely on them most consistently because I like to keep my sense of equilibrium as high as I possibly can. Like I like to have that feel good scenario going on. It is tougher when what's going on in your life is not pretty, when you're faced with things that are tough to deal with or decisions that are hard to make. But you'll get through it more easily and more creatively if you allow yourself to recharge first. Because a dead battery, well, you're not going anywhere. So if you have no resources, no reserves left to keep your motor running, well, you're stalled. And then it spirals down. And then your attitude shifts to become worse and worse and worse. So whatever you can do to rejuvenate yourself, to breathe life back into what had been drained out, that's vital. That's our life force. That's what keeps us moving. I see people, sitting, not engaged in anything in life, and it's as if, well, they're just waiting to die. And I'm going, okay, well, their choice, but it's not what I would choose. So if it's not what you would choose either, then it becomes really important to say, well, what sparks the enthusiasm in me? What sparks passion? What sparks energy and life and laughter and joy? What is it? It might be different for everybody. So you might need to think about that and say, oh, okay, well, now I've identified what drains me. Let's look at the other side. What is it that gets me going? That gets me out of bed in the morning, and not the, yeah, I should, yeah, I have to. And so you get up kind of lifeless, and you go to the coffee pot, and maybe that sparks you a little bit. Okay, I got my little jolt of coffee, but maybe that doesn't last even out to the bus stop or out to your car. So what else? Well, I think of my granddaughters and the way they giggle when they see me, and they see me down my long hallway when they come to visit, and they streak down, and at the same time they're shouting, "Nana Sue!" and they're giggling and laughing, and they just run into my arms, and I just grab hold of them. Well, if that doesn't charge up my battery, nothing will. So and even just the memory of that makes such a difference if I'm having kind of a gloomy day. It just fires me up again. I'm going, oh yeah. And so we have those in us. And I mean, bless the memories that we retain, because long after people that we love are physically gone, we have those memories. And it's, so I revisit them often because it strengthens that connection that I have with them from a source perspective, from the heavens, or whatever that means to you. Like they're still around. I just can't see them. And so that inspires me to stay connected and to remember what they meant to me, and how they got through their challenges and adversities. And both one of my grandmothers and my one grandfather, whistling was a big thing for them. They would whistle, and I know that I'm feeling pretty filled up when I start whistling, because it's a happy thing for me. All right, so lots to think about today in relation to whatever's draining your battery and how you are going to recharge. You can do this. You are that magnificent. So this week, think about how you're going to regenerate, rejuvenate, how you're going to eliminate the drains in your life so that you can move forward in the most beautiful way that you absolutely deserve. And if you're enjoying Tea with Sue, you can always subscribe to my channel, and there'll be lots more videos on there if you've missed any of them. I think this is episode number 64 in the Tea with Sue series. So there's that there for you. If you or someone you know has been or is dealing with cancer, there's another channel called Healing Call of Cancer on YouTube that is mine. And also every week I'm doing videos on that topic. So feel free to enjoy, share if there's someone that might be, that you feel might benefit from what I'm doing here. I keep doing it because I love it, and I hope you're finding some value out of it. Until next week, have a glorious weekend, and we'll see you again soon. Bye for now.